Hey guys, Tech Adventure with the video for you guys. In today's video, we're going to be reviewing the iPhone 12 Pro with the regular iPhone 12 in a head-to-head comparison where we took a look at the specs, the hardware, the good and the bad, and everything in between that you need to know whether you're looking to buy the 12 Pro or the regular 12 and why that decision might be important and which one can you choose to get the most out of for your money. But before we dive into today's video, if you guys are new to our channel, we do a lot of tech news reviews and giveaways, so make sure that like and subscribe button. Also, if you guys are in a market for a discounted iPhone 12, make sure you guys check out the links in the description section. So let's go ahead and get started with today's video. The iPhone 12 lineup, as you know, was released last year and it's hitting the 1 year mark where the iPhone 13 is rumored to come around. But there's tons of features that come with the iPhone 12 lineup. First, of course, the chipset on it is Apple claims the A14 Bionic chip as one of the fastest chip on their smartphone that they have developed so far. Along with that is the 5G capability for the very first time, where we see that M&M wave here on the right hand side of the iPhone 12 lineup. The other thing to note is both of these two phones have a 6.1 OLED display, and there's a ceramic shield that Apple has designed, which is supposed to be 4 times tougher than the previous glass on their iPhone. And finally, a redesign of the iPhone in general, with bringing back that flat bezel that we've seen on the iPhone 5 lineup, where on the iPhone 6 they went around with the edges up to the iPhone 11 lineup. So the first time Apple reintroduced that design. Not sure why, but that's another feature that comes with the iPhone 12 lineup. So let's talk about between these two phones. Of course, the first thing we want to talk about is the actual color scheme that you can get both of these devices. You can see here, I have the gold one and the blue one of the iPhone 12, and then the 12 Pro, of course, in the gold one. The premium model here is the 12 lineup, and this one comes in your premium colors that Apple has always stick with, which is going to be your gold, silver, graphite, which is a shade of space gray, and then a new color which we don't have here, which is the specific blue that Apple has introduced. Where on the regular iPhone 12 you actually get 5 colors. You get it in black, white, red, blue, and green as well. So 5 color versus 4 here, depending on if you really care about the color. You're probably looking at the iPhone 12 here with the multitude of color. The other interesting fact about these two phones is the storage size they are configured with. So the iPhone 12 here, which is the premium lineup, it comes with a 128 gig storage by default, which for the very first time we see Apple has done that. Unfortunately, Apple didn't do the same thing with the 12 lineup. If you get the base model, you're going to be looking at only 64 gig, although this is the 128 gig one that we have. So that's something important to distinguish between these two devices, that the storage wise, the Pro starts at 628 gig, 256 gig, and then max of 512 gig. Unfortunately, the regular 12 only goes up to 256 gig. So if you need that storage, like half a terabyte, and you really have a lot of videos, photos, and just tons of apps, you're probably going to go with to max out with the 512 gig of the iPhone 12 Pro, which of course is going to cost a little bit more. The Pro here, as you know, starts at $999, and here on the iPhone 12 starts at $799, so almost $200 difference between these two devices. And there's going to be a couple of reasons why there is that price point that we're going to talk a little bit more in this video. But if you look at the design of both of these two phones for a second here, you notice Apple has redesigned, of course, body completely. There's also a difference between the material build of it. The 12 Pro here has a surgical grade stainless steel, where the finish on the regular 12 is an aerospace grade aluminum. What can you say about that? Well, not too much. Of course, the surgical grade is a little bit tougher than the aerospace grade aluminum body finish to it. Also, you notice between these two phones, height wise, dimension wise, for the most part is about the same here. You may not be able to even tell that one is a Pro versus the other one, which is a regular 12. But the interesting thing is the actual weight on it. The iPhone 12 Pro actually is a little bit heavier. It weighs about 6.66 ounces, so triple sixes there. And the iPhone regular 12 here weighs around 5.78 ounces, so almost 1 ounce difference. Really tiny, negligible difference when you're holding it in your hand. If you have somewhere between medium hand or average hand, it fits and feels nicely on your hand. Other thing about the design of both of the phones are waterproof. So if you're taking for a dive, they're both actually are IP68 rating, so you can take it for about 6 meters for about 30 minutes or so underwater. But again, because both front and back are glass, we wouldn't recommend that. If there is any crack on the back or the front, that could potentially compromise the phone and it will not be waterproof any longer. Also, other thing to note is the display here. As you can see, when we hold the display side by side, you really can't tell a difference between the Pro model here on the left side and on the right side, the regular one. That's because both of them have a 6.1 Super Retina XDR OLED display, even with the same resolution. You get 2532 by 1170 at 460 ppi, so that's pixel per inch on the display. They also have what's known as a ceramic shield. This front glass, which you mentioned, is 4 times stronger. There's a 2 million to 1 contrast ratio, true tone, haptic touch featuring both of the phones. So display wise that you see in the front are pretty much the same display on both of the phones here. So not too much to go in detail on that one. Let's talk about the battery of these two phones. What kind of battery life can you expect between the Pro and the regular model? Well, not too much there either. So when you took a look at the battery, they actually have the same capacity battery, which is a 2815 mAh battery. So you're getting the same battery whether you pick the Pro or the regular model. And when we do some testing, we find that the iPhone 12 Pro does last maybe around half an hour longer than the iPhone 12 here, and that's because the way the efficiency run on these devices, again, it's really negligible. But if you're looking at video playback, which is a good indicator for these two phones, you get about 17 hours of video playback and then 65 hours of audio playback. One interesting thing about these two phones is that although we'll look in the packet, is Apple doesn't include this 20-watt power wall adapter. It just only includes the USB-C. If you get the 20-watt power adapter, which you have to obviously pay extra $30 or so, you can actually charge both of these phones really quick. You can go from 0 to 50% in 30 minutes, which again is impressive finally that Apple has introduced that. And let's talk about the performance of these two devices. What kind of performance can you get out of these two devices? Well, as we mentioned, both of the phones does come equipped with A14 Bionic chip and with a 16-core neural engine to it. So what does that really mean for us? Well, it's 80% increase of speed from the previous generation is what Apple claims. Is that really the case? Well, to a regular user, it might not show, but underliningly between these two phones, there's another spec that if you're a gamer or someone that does a lot of multitasking or playing heavy graphic game, you're going to really care about this because the iPhone has slight different configuration for the actual RAM on this. The iPhone 12 here has a 4 gig RAM, but with the premium lineup on the Pro here, you actually get 6 gig of RAM under the cover, which again, 6 gig versus 4, probably why this is, you're paying almost $1,000 plus for this phone. And finally, the biggest distinguishing factor that we bring between these two phones that you cannot miss, and this is an indicator of how to determine a regular 12 from a 12 Pro, is that camera on these two phones. This is where Apple is trying to push out these premium model with the triple camera versus only dual camera. So as you can see, both of the phones does have a wide and an ultra wide lens, but the iPhone 12 Pro here comes with a third telephoto lens, which allows it to give 4 times the zoom compared to only 2 times the zoom that you get on the iPhone, the regular one here. Along with that is this LiDAR. As you see that black dot here, that's huge. That's actually the LiDAR sensor, which isn't available on the regular 12 here. Along with that is going to be, of course, between these two phones, there's also other capability differences when you look at camera. The iPhone 12 here has a feature called Pro RAW, and then on the portrait mode, you can actually do night mode, but the iPhone 12 here does not have that. along with that is the video. So both of the phones actually can record pretty much the same capability when it comes to recording. They're able to record in 4K, 60 frames per second. But the one thing we notice is the Dolby HDR. The iPhone 12 here can actually record at 60 frames per second in that Dolby HDR vision, versus the regular 12 here can do only up to 30 frames per second in that Dolby quality. So that's something Apple doesn't kind of mention and say it out loud, but that's something to note. So camera wise, because of the premium model is what Apple is really trying to portray here, this is where that is probably the distinguishing factor between these two phones. So overall, between these two phones, what are you looking at? So the iPhone 12 here, you're really not getting too much update besides the upgraded camera, of course that LiDAR piece that you have on it, and of course along that line just slight improvement in performance because of that 6 gig of RAM. But between these two phones, you really are paying $200 extra for those features. So if you're really comparing these two phones, you kind of get to make that decision whether it's that $200 worth it or not. And that's going to be something that you have to decide on your own to know that what will be good for you, because both of the phones, of course, was released in last year. They're going to be supported for a good 5 years, as we saw with the iPhone 6s, which has been really a long-lasting device. We can even expect these to run between 5 to 7 years somewhere because of how long they are. Both of the phones, when you've been doing some testing on YouTube, video watching, social media, anything goes on these two phones. And these are the premium lineup. Of course, the Pro is better than the regular 12 because of the price, but either or, you can't go really wrong with either of these devices for multitasking, for your productivity tool, your finance tool, your gaming, whether you're using it for school, work, whatever the case is. iPhone does not fail to impress whenever they are doing a job for you. So hopefully this video is helpful for you guys. If this video is helpful and you guys enjoyed it, please make sure to hit that like and subscribe button. Hope to see you guys on the next video. See you guys next time.